It was a quiet Saturday afternoon, the sunlight gently filtering through the curtains, Emma carrying a pile of neatly folded clothes across the living room. Tyler lay on the sofa, his phone in his hand, the screen flickering in the quiet space. Emma glanced at it, just an unconscious glance. But immediately she stopped. The images on the screen hit her eyes, sensitive videos and pictures, making her blush. "Oh my God!" Emma muttered, her hands shaking, causing a few towels to fall to the floor. Tyler was startled. "Emma!" he shouted, hastily locking the screen, his face red as if he had been caught. Emma turned away, trying to stay calm. I didn't mean to look. It was just unexpected. I'm sorry," Tyler stammered, his voice full of embarrassment. "I didn't think you would see." Emma hurried out of the room, her heart pounding. But the image kept haunting her. Every time she closed her eyes, it was like a small wave that kept rolling back and forth. She reassured herself. He's just a young boy. Just a moment of passion. But deep down, she knew that this incident had disturbed everything. That awkward feeling followed them all day, creating a strange tension in the air, like they had crossed a line that neither of them wanted to admit. In the afternoon, Emma decided to make herself a cup of tea, hoping the warmth would ease the mood. She stood by the kitchen counter, listening to the sound of the water, when Tyler walked in, holding an empty cup. "Want some tea?" Emma asked, her voice soft but not hiding the tension. Tyler nodded, leaning against the stove, his hands in his pockets. "Thanks." They stood there in silence, the sound of rain pattering on the window, as if trying to ease the invisible tension between them. As Emma poured tea into Tyler's cup, she felt his gaze. Not the awkwardness of the day before, but something deeper, as if he were searching for an unspoken forgiveness. "Do you think things are harder than they need to be?" Tyler asked suddenly, his voice so low that Emma had to tilt her head to hear. She put the teapot down, looking at him in surprise. "How hard?" Tyler looked down at the cup in his hand, his voice low. "Like trying to be someone everyone expects, but never feeling like it's enough." His words touched a deep place inside Emma. She smiled sadly. "I know how it feels. Sometimes I feel like I'm just living to please everyone." They looked at each other for a moment, their eyes meeting long enough for the air in the room to thicken. Tyler lowered his eyes first, taking a step back. "I guess I should leave you alone," he said, his voice low and almost a confession. "Tyler." Emma hesitated, but he had already turned away, leaving her alone with her unspoken questions. Emma squeezed the cup in her hand, her heart pounding. The feeling, though fleeting, was too real. And she knew this wasn't just normal stress anymore. The next morning, Emma was cleaning the living room when Sophia stopped by. With the sharp look of a longtime friend, it didn't take long for Sophia to notice the difference. "Is something wrong?" Sophia asked, setting her coffee cup down on the table. Emma smiled awkwardly, shaking her head. "Nothing. Just housework, you know." Sophia tilted her head, her eyes unable to hide her suspicion. But before she could say anything more, the front door swung open. Tyler walked in, a wet jacket in his hand, his hair disheveled from the rain. He stopped. His eyes lightly glanced at Sophia, then quickly avoided her. "Hi, Tyler," Sophia said, her voice soft but full of meaning. "Hello," he replied briefly, then walked up the stairs without looking back. Sophia watched, her eyebrows raised. "You and Tyler, something going on?" Emma felt her heart skip a beat. "No, nothing. You're overthinking things." But Sophia said nothing more, just looked at Emma with suspicion. That afternoon, as Emma was still lost in thought, the doorbell rang. Tyler's ex-girlfriend, Lauren, appeared. She stood there, her smile cold, her eyes sharp as knives. "Is Tyler home?" Lauren asked, looking at Emma with a searching look. As Tyler walked down the stairs, he saw Lauren and froze. "What do you do here?" he asked, his voice tense. Lauren smiled faintly. "Just wanted to visit. I have something fun to share." That evening, Emma's phone vibrated. A message appeared. "I know everything. If you don't tell me, I will." Attached was a blurry photo, but clear enough to make Emma shiver. "You said?" Emma couldn't sleep that night. The text from Lauren kept spinning through her mind, like a needle stabbing into her fear. She wondered, how much does Lauren know? And does Mark know? The next morning, when Tyler walked into the kitchen, Emma immediately showed him the photo and text. His face was pale, his eyes flashing with worry. "She can't do anything," Tyler said, trying to stay calm. "She's just trying to scare us." "But what about Mark?" Emma whispered, her voice shaking. "If he finds out." Tyler bit his lip, his anger evident. "Lauren just wants to cause trouble. I'll deal with her." "How?" Emma asked, her eyes filled with doubt. "Tyler, don't do anything stupid." He didn't answer, just stood up, his eyes filled with determination. A few days later, Lauren disappeared. The news was all over the local news sites. The police described it as a mysterious disappearance, with no signs of violence, but no clear leads. Emma's blood ran cold as she heard the news. She confronted Tyler in the kitchen, where it had all seemed to have started. "Tyler, where's Lauren?" she asked, her voice shaking. He looked at her, his eyes blank. "She won't bother us again." "What did you do?" Emma asked, breathing heavily. "I don't care," he replied, his voice cold. Tyler's words stunned Emma. Suspicions about his past arose. She remembered Mark's words about Tyler's past relationships and the problems he'd caused. "Tyler," she whispered, taking a step back. You're not who I think you are." Tyler stepped forward, his eyes dark. "You don't understand. Everything I did was for us." But Emma knew things were getting out of hand. Tyler was no longer the boy she thought she knew. Mark came home early one dreary afternoon. When he walked through the door, he noticed a strange atmosphere in the house, a heavy silence, as if everything was waiting to explode. Emma was standing in the kitchen, drying a glass, but her eyes were distant, as if she were somewhere else. Tyler sat at the dining table, his gaze unfocused, but when he heard the door open, he froze. "Emma, Tyler," Mark said, his eyes sweeping between them. "What's going on? You both look bad." Before Emma could reply, Mark's phone rang. He pulled it out, looking at the screen. His eyes widened, his hands clenched so tightly that his knuckles were white. "What's this?" Mark growled, holding up the screen. It was the photos Lauren had taken, now sent directly to him. Emma felt her blood freeze. She tried to say something, but no words came out. "Mark, let me explain," Tyler said, his voice strangely calm. "Explain what?" Mark shouted, his eyes bloodshot. "What did you do? And why did this happen under my roof? It's not what you think." Emma burst into tears, trying to find a way to defuse the situation. "It's not what I think." Mark threw the phone down on the table, his hands shaking. "You two betrayed me. I trusted you both, and this is how you repay me?" Tyler stood up, walking closer to Mark. "I didn't mean to hurt anyone. I love her." That added fuel to the fire. Mark turned to Emma, his eyes filled with hurt and anger. "Do you love him?" Emma didn't answer. The words stuck in her throat, because she didn't know what the real answer was. Mark shook his head, stepping back. "I don't want to see you two anymore. You two move out immediately." A few weeks later, Emma sat in a small rocking chair in a rented apartment in the city. Tyler had left without saying goodbye, and Mark had filed for divorce. Valerie visited often, trying to help Emma through the pain. One night, as they sat on the balcony, Valerie looked at Emma and asked, "Do you regret it?" Emma looked out into the distance, the city lights flashing in the distance. Regret trusting the wrong person, yes. But not regretting feeling alive, even for once. Valerie squeezed Emma's hand, saying nothing more. Darkness enveloped her, but in her heart, Emma knew she had to find a way to move on. Everything may have been broken, but at least she still has the opportunity to start over. Congratulations on watching the entire video. If you like it, please give me a like button so I can make more detailed videos. Follow.